Greetings, English language learning several, and welcome to Voiced-Unvoiced. I'm Jim Snowden, your guide to North American English language pronunciation. 2 videos back, I talked about the 5 trickiest areas students struggle with. One of the tools we use to help students address these and other problems, and that students use for their own practice, is the minimal pair. Let's get into them. Minimal pairs are words that sound identical except for one sound. Examples of this would be pen and pin, or bud and budge, or ripe and rope. Pairs like these are helpful in isolating the sounds that give us trouble, particularly if they're sounds we're having a hard time making distinct from other sounds. For example, let's say you're a student having trouble making short A sound different from short E. I might first ask you to listen to the following minimal pairs, just to make sure your ear is picking up the difference. It's kind of like the quiz I did last week, come to think of it. So, here I'd go. Pan, pen. Hem, ham. Man, min. If you had trouble hearing the difference between the pairs, we'd move on to listening practice and exercises to help you learn to separate these sounds by ear. If you're already hearing the difference correctly, I'd then ask you to say the pairs for yourself. After that, we'd work on adjusting how you use your vocal system to better make each sound distinct. In this case, say you're saying short E's when you meant to say short A's. We'd start by talking about dropping your jaw and moving your tongue forward so that its tip reaches the back of your bottom front teeth. I'd have you try that a few times to get the feel. Ah, ah, ah. Then have you say the short A words, then have you say the minimal pairs again. It should be noted that not every sound in English has a large number of minimal pairs to work with for practice. The zh sound, which is uncommon in English, has only a few pairs, like closer and closure, or bays and beige. If zh is a trouble sound for you, practice is likely to be awfully repetitive, and there's not much we can do about that. To use a phrase that involves a frequent confusion of voiced th and d, dems de breaks. One final note. Hearing about minimal pairs in a video or working through some in a single class session isn't enough. Pronunciation isn't simply a matter of knowing what to do. Pronunciation is a physical act, requiring training of both the ear and the vocal system until you can pronounce English words without having to think about what your lips, jaw, and tongue are doing. It's a muscle memory challenge. Each sound you work on will require weeks of training at minimum, much of it spent with minimal pairs to help you practice. I generally recommend that students of mine find a partner to practice with when they're not working with me, someone who hears the sounds of English accurately to keep them honest. I also stress with my students that our goal here isn't perfection. Nobody pronounces English perfectly all the time. And given that there are dozens of accents in North American English, it's fair to say that there's no agreement on what perfection would even mean. A more realistic goal is better, less confusing communication. The way I figure it, if you can go from pan and pen sounding the same 80% of the time to sounding different 80% of the time, it's a win. If you enjoyed this explainer and would like to learn more about North American English pronunciation, I teach a course on that subject called The Sounds of English on Thinkific. Link in the description below. There you can get hours of lessons, exercises to do with partners, and even weekly opportunities to practice with me live during office hours sessions. If you enjoyed this explainer and would like to see more, do like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell for alerts. It helps the channel grow. I encourage you to ask pronunciation questions in the comments here. I'll answer my favorite question each week in a following video. Thank you for your kind attention, and I'll see you next week.